I think he really enjoyed himself. So our president this year, Dan Douglas.
Thank you. Well, the Lincoln Journal-Star's headlines was the football gods smile on Nebraska and then send a harsh message. Boy, I'll tell you, the 4 minutes that I spent in that stadium at the end of that game were the most emotional and most draining I think I put in any football game I've been to. It was phenomenal. The players never quit. And we ended up coming out on top. And boy, I'll tell you, the smiles on those kids' faces on that plane. And just one other note, when I got on that plane, to see those football players, after that game, being exhausted mentally and physically, had their computers on and their books on, open, and doing homework. That's a credit to these kids. A Nebraska fan sitting in front of me, two of them that were in our section, turned around to me with 1 minute and 34 seconds left on the clock and said, "It ain't over yet." I looked at him and I said, "Boy." He says, "You got 3 timeouts left and we can't make a first down." I said, "Okay." Well, with 1:04 left, with the ball on the 30-yard line, we went down. You know what happened. And boy, I'll tell you, when that kick was kicked, I had my hands in my face in my hands. I didn't look at it, and I heard the silence of all the Nebraska fans next to me. And 2 Nebraska fans in front of me didn't cheer, but everybody behind me in the Wisconsin room was cheering. And I thought, man, this thing is good. And I looked and I saw it hit the net. And I thought, holy man, and boy, was it a celebration. So it was quite an experience. Great trip. I basically had many memories out of that, and I'm sure I'll never forget. And one of the little tidbits on the way home, and I asked Father Mike if I could use this tonight. Father Mike was standing in the back of the galley in the airplane there, and I went back and used the restroom.
I think we might have one of the best defenses in the country. Nobody's given us any credit. So, just a little bit of a flashback here. 1984. I hadn't checked my stats on this today. A good friend of mine, but I dug a program up. My father passed away this spring, and my mother was an avid Badger fan. And we had a bunch of stuff in a room that was called the Bucky room that was from way back in the 50s, 40s, and 50s. But found a program there this spring that was a Hall of Fame Bowl program in 1984. Paul Chris freshman year.
Yeah.
His picture was in there, and I took it up to him, gave it to him, and said, "If you don't have this, you might want it now." But in 1983, Paul Chris was quarterback at Platteville High School, won a state tournament, or state championship at Platteville. Came here as a freshman in 1984. Played for Dave McLean. Played for Jim Hillis. Played for the famous Don Morton, the fellow that, before his tenure was up, sat in the casket and got up and he says, "I ain't dead yet." Well, he died. That was some of our poor years when we could only put 26,000 people in the stands. It was great for some of us season ticket holders that sat in the rain out in row 36. I was able to move my seats up in row 52 when they helped the back down. But it was, there were better days ahead. Donna Shalala hired Pat Richter. Pat Richter went and hired Barry Alvarez at the national championship game when Notre Dame won. And we were on our way. So I guess I'll leave it there, and I want to introduce our tight ends coach, Mickey Turner. He was a 4-year letter winner here, a captain as a senior. An example of what our program is all about. A scholar athlete, the Ivan B. Williamson Award winner as a senior. and we should be proud that this is the kind of person that we put out of our football program. Mickey? Thanks, Jim.
Show tomorrow down in Big Ten. That, I'd like to bring up our 2015 Minnesota Gridiron Club president, Mr. Dan Douglas.
Thank you, Karen. Well, it's a sad day in the Big Ten with the loss of Jerry Kill. I think, from what I can see, and from what I've talked to people out there, he's going through all the right reasons. And I wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he can find a position, an organization out there that will continue to meet those kids. And on another note, just to refresh everybody, but we have 3 Big Ten teams in the top 10, and the highly SEC only has 2, so how about that? Another hard-fought game. We found a way to win. Our quarterbacks are in good hands, as you can see, with Paul Chris mentoring them. We are in very good shape. And, I was very impressed with Bart coming off the bench and doing what he did. And we can be rest assured that we're in good hands if something would happen to go. Our defense, the unsung heroes, nobody talks about them. Top 5 or better in the country, and nobody mentions us. But we'll just keep on plugging along, and pretty soon we'll end up someplace. Just a little note, little history note here. We got rid of the Paul wasn't here last week. I had to talk about the Warren years, which he was a part of. So you didn't have to listen to the "I ain't dead yet" speech. So, but Barry came along. We were able to go to 3 Rose Bowls. Had some great times. I'm just going to bring up one of the things that I remember in that time period up until the Rose Bowls, including the great game of the Capital One going down in 2005, his last game in 2006. But I can remember the electric night we had at Camp Randall when Ron Dane broke the NCAA rushing record. If anybody didn't think that was like going to a Rose Bowl, what I'll tell you, that was electric. There were lights in the stadium, there was white flags flying, and it was just something else to see. Never forget it. And my son, a student at that time, sold his ticket. I still read it. Do we have any new members or guests here tonight? I know we're a little thin, but does anybody have anybody here tonight? Want to stand up? Now on that note, I won't waste any more of your time, and I'll bring up our head coach, Mr. Paul Chris.
About a minute left in the game, and we were on about the 1 or 2 yard line, and Barry took a knee, so he didn't run up the score to be a 3 touchdown killer. And I'll tell you, that game was a great game to send Barry out, and of course Brandon and his senior class. Give Brandon a hand. Memories never go away. I just want to, first of all, see if I know we have one new member in the house. Our newest member that I think tonight is a former player, 2001, 2005 tight end and fullback, Matt Bernstein. The hurdle, come on, let's see you hurdle the table. Do we have any other new members tonight? Any guests here tonight? Don't be shy. How about, we haven't done this for a while, do we have any past presidents that can stand and at least give us a wave? And now I want to introduce our Director of Recruiting, Andrew Marlott. His background was an all-conference player in the MAC conference at Miami of Ohio 3 times. Coached several years of high school football in the state of Ohio, and was last at Miami of Ohio as a special teams coordinator, in which his teams led the nation in 2013. Andrew Marlott.
Yeah, here I bet your coach probably would like to have some more bodies to put on that field. And one of the things I just want to bring to mention that I think gets overlooked, we're 8-2. We got beat by, what's Alabama, 3 in the country? 2. Iowa's 5. Got beat by 2 teams in the top 5. And so we don't give them a lot of respect. We just barely got back into the top 25. But you know something, we're a good football team. And it's a credit to our coaching staff to be able to do what they've been able to do with the injuries they've incurred and with the young people we've got playing. I'm going to go back just a little bit here. I always do my little history lesson here, and this is the last one you'll have to listen to. So we ended up with Barry's years, and then we went into Brett Bielema's years, which Paul was a part of that great run we had there with 3 Rose Bowls, 3 Big Ten championships. We saw many players go through this program that are top players in the NFL now. J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson, Monte Ball, number of other players, and now Melvin Gordon, and setting some of the records we saw with the most touchdowns scored in a season and most touchdowns scored in a career. Melvin's one year number of yards set for a running back, and 480 in a game, and then broken in the next week. But if he would have played for a full game, he probably would have had 500. I think one of that game that he broke that record was a magical night with the snow falling. Felt like they were in a snow dome here at Camp Randall. I think a lot of people remember that. And now we have which we've endured this year and had a great run, the Paul Chryst era. One thing I want to say also, I don't know, is Father Mike here? No. Well, I wish he was, because I didn't realize this, but we had a nice chat last week. And he told me he's been associated with our football team for 38 years. Wow. So he has seen a lot. That's a credit to him, and he's done a wonderful job with us, with our guys and our coaches. He also brought us the Sisters of Christ. And now, not to bore you too much more, one other thing I wanted to, I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but did you see the article here about a couple weeks ago about Gary DiNardo and Dave Ramanda, the interview? I think the thing that I got out of that was most interesting is Gary DiNardo, Big Ten analyst, came to Madison, sat down with Dave, supposedly 30 minutes, but probably a little longer. But he said he walked out of the interview knowing more about football than he ever knew in his life. So that's got to be a real credit because, Jerry coached, but he learned a lot over the years. If you've been around a long time, you think he would have known a little bit more. But Dave is a credit to our group. So with that being said, I hate to say this is our last scheduled meeting, but I'd like to bring on our head coach, Mr. Paul Chryst.